This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Purposefully stopping fermentation and what that might cause, losing power during a fermentation, and recalibrating an electronic pH meter. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 412. Oh my goodness. Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friends, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. But even better, you could call it in to 325-305-6107. And when I use your voicemail on a future episode, preferably a question, could be feedback, but preferably a question, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. I am one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, how's it going?
It's been kind of a rough day. Started early, you know.
I left my iPad in your office when I was on my last
You remember
trip.
you promised you weren't going to ask us that anymore, and I told you I was going to be honest going forward.
I need to do a hard stop because I don't have the iPad to fade out. Can you pick it up and show the people at home the iPad I left in your office? It's immediately to your right on that shelf. And you can just put it right back there so we all know where it is so I can get it back. Yeah, my iPad mini. I didn't realize how dependent I was on it for this episode, or for this show, rather. I was, I tried to, yeah, go for it. Oh, no, he did it. Oh, you jerk. He licked it. The one thing I hate most. One of the things I hate most.
You left it in my office, though.
Oh, dude, you're.
Yeah, there's some other things I've done too, and I can't show on the podcast.
Oh God, that ruined my day. It was already a shaky start. This is y'all correct me.
My day's getting better.
I hate you. Y'all can correct me. I do believe this is the first episode in at least 200 that I had to stop and redo the front. And I was all flustered, but we got through that. I'll do it in post. I had to do it last week with Jonathan. For some reason, my board is messing up. It's not. Not only did I forget the iPad, but it's not outputting the y'all into the mix for whatever reasons. I gotta get that fixed. Everything's breaking down. James, not only have I not put that thing in the van yet, but now my brakes are bad on the van. They're squeaking like crazy. So brake check had the best quote in town. Guess how much for if they end up having to do front and rear and a thing called rotor resurfacing, because they don't want to replace it if they don't have to. They resurface it. But if they do front and back pad replacements and rotor resurfacing, guess how much?
$1,600.
No, thank God. Maybe this is a great price. Todd, take a guess.
$600.
No, $386. Is that a good price?
That's a good price.
Oh, okay.
That's a good price.
Hey,
Yeah.
here's an ad for brake check.
Yeah. I guessed way high because I expected it to be way high.
I'm thinking that's if to repair my AC if it's that bad. But it's been cold, so that's springtime Josh's problem. That's not wintertime Josh's problem. My wife still doesn't like driving it, and so she's been driving the Subaru. I've become a minivan man. I'm okay with it. I kind of like it. You get weird looks, especially now. It squeaks like a school bus. So when I'm coming to a stop, it draws some attention, but I'm enjoying everything else. It's not bad. And right now, the heater works because it brings in the hot air off that engine. So life is good. I'm a minivan man. Who would have knew? I went from questionable lesbian Subaru Forester driver to questionable lesbian Chrysler Town and Country minivan driver. So anyways, I do have relevant small talk friends. I promise. Now that Todd and James are on the show, I won't digress. I won't assume that y'all watched last week's interview that I did with our multiple call champion and good buddy of the show, Jonathan Marute. But our small talk was maybe 4 minutes. So I'm not gonna break that record, but I'm gonna try real quick. Friends, you could go to patreon.com. Oops, wrong screen. Patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier of the Trub Club, and you're gonna get this delicious English mild shipped out to you at the end of the month. I am gonna do a day trip. I think the last Monday. Is it the 31st? No, it's not. It's not New Year's Eve. It's 30th. So I'm gonna come up there. We'll get it out. I put in the yeast order today, so there won't be a delay. We're going to get everything out. I'm pretty confident we're using Pub. They haven't replied yet because I just put in the order. If they have Pub, that's what we're using, which Pub is a great strand. The three of us are no stranger to all of their strains pretty much, but Pub is a good one. We use that for the ESB, and I think we use it for the English Brown. Any English beer, it's the English strain for them. So I think House is their other English strain. So we'll have those going out at the end of the month. Also Brew Day Live. If you want to watch my pop and I brew this awesome beer, join us right here at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour on December 27th. That's a Friday at 10 a.m. Central. We are going to be brewing it. We're going to be hanging out for a couple hours, and it's always a good time when my pop is here. Hopefully it'll be really cold and we don't have to worry about flies and stuff, just the temperature. When it's cold, guys, I will say what I appreciate is it's easier to get it down to pitching temps. That's for sure. My water that we're using, for the counterflow chiller, the ground temperature brings it down much quicker than these August brew days and whatnot. So that'll be fun. And then also we are still doing site-wide deals at catconnection.com. The one I wanted to focus on for this week's episode, because there is a question about, one of our customers ended up emailing me, someone I helped when y'all are out of town. He had written in or called in, wanting a secondary solution, and I got him on GovReds. So that's what I'm going to be showing right now up on the screen. GovReds are the lowest price they'll ever be now through the end of the month, or it was really Black Friday through the end of December. It's our year-end sale right now. On the screen, if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, you can see all those great deals. Todd made these new deluxe starter kits for ball lock, for pin lock, for commercial kegs. Really good pricing, really good way to get into secondary. And we have videos of Todd converting his system all on these product descriptions and stuff. Todd did Well, I don't want to misspeak. Is it 7 taps or 6 taps that you reconfigured for all GovReg?
6.
Okay. I couldn't.
You're talking about on my Keyser, right?
Yeah, your personal Keyser that we did a conversion video on. And that was 5 months ago, 4 months ago. What is your user testimonial since converting all of your lines to using GovReg inline secondaries?
I mean, I love them. I mean, they just don't take up near as much space, and I can change them anytime I want. So if I go from a beer to a different carbonated beverage, I can just change it on the fly, and I really like them.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet. We like them a lot. You can go to kegconnection.com. You'll see year-end sale right there on the home screen. Go to the secondary or pick yourself up some other deals. We still have, I believe, 5 or 6 of those racetrack kegs where they're only $25 in a cart of 150. So they went pretty quick. We've also been selling a crap ton of what we call the fizz kits, which has been for sparkling beverages at home, specifically the mineral water kits that we've been selling, the little pats. Comes with those. People have been really enjoying those. So if you want the best prices of the year, go to kegconnection.com. If you want even more savings, join a recipe receiving tier, or actually most tiers at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and get yourself additional savings on future purchases. So I believe that's, this is kind of small talk before I go into listener feedback and the questions. I did not call y'all while you were out of the country. We didn't do a recap yet. Let's talk the Brow. Let's talk y'all's experience there with being in Nuremberg, and then Pilsen, and then Prague. Todd, I'm going to throw it to you first about the show. How'd the Brow go, and would you do it again if it was always going to be like it was this year?
It was, I mean, there weren't any Americans there because it was Thanksgiving. So I just visited with other people, and it was all right. I mean,
James, you share the same sentiment?
So, yeah, we literally, the only Americans we saw were at the Christmas market.
No kidding. That's hilarious. So not for the trade show at all. It was when you were shopping at.
Well, no, I'll take that back. We did talk to one American, but he lived in Germany.
Oh, that's funny. So an expat.
Yeah.
He was there. Yeah. But I am jealous. I'm jealous of a lot of things, but I'm jealous.
Actually, I have to say what I said specifically to the guy, we were at the booth, and I said, yeah, we happen to be the only 2 Americans stupid enough to be here. And then the guy next to us was like, I'm an American.
You're like, put your arm around him.
No, notice he didn't say stupid.
Yeah.
He just said, I'm an American.
It's implied. It
was implied by me that any American there was stupid. Yeah.
But obviously, I agree with y'all. The reason I did not go this year, I chose not to because my wife threatened me with physical violence if I missed Thanksgiving. So something about family time, blah, blah, blah. But I do imagine, though, you would think that they would care about the American audience for their show and maybe try to reschedule it. I mean, that does seem like terrible timing for them to do a international and such a large international show. I mean, at that time, you'd think they'd try not to hit any holidays. But to be fair, Germans have a holiday like every other week. So they probably did it on Thanksgiving to sacrifice not missing out on, Lederhosen Fest or whatever next week is, or the week before. How was the Christmas market, James? I know. Spoiler. You showed me the picture. You got me you got me my cup. I did. Yeah. Those Glühwein. Is that how you say it? Glühwein.
Glühwein.
Did you actually drink it this time?
No, I got hot chocolate in mine.
Okay. You don't like it, right? You don't like Glühwein.
Nine.
Todd, did you get a glass this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Liz went with y'all. Did she? I imagine she really enjoyed the Christmas market, knowing Liz.
Yeah, she did. We got some things, and she enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I'm just excited that James got me the Glühwein.
The best
cup.
part of the trip was Pilsen.
That's what I was getting.
If anybody out there ever gets an opportunity to go to Pilsen and go to Pilsner Urquell, you got to go.
Well, tell us about it.
So they don't teach you how to pronounce a name while you're there, but it's awesome. I mean, the best tour of any brewery I have ever been on in my entire life. So it was cool. Incredible. Yeah.
Elaborate. I mean, so first off, for brand new listeners who don't know anything, Pilsner Urquell touts themselves as the original Pilsner in the world, the inventors of it. Germans.
Well, they are.
I know, but I know.
Yeah,
I'm saying
they are.
that, like, but yeah, it. I'm not saying it's up for debate unless there's Germans listening. Then I'm on y'all's side, of course. And unless there's Czech people listening, I'm on your side.
No, what Germans would say, I don't think anybody disputes they made the first Pilsner. I think what Germans would say is,
they make the best.
Yes, Todd, they made the first, but they used a German to do it.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, the brewer was a German guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, I didn't know that.
They brought to Pilsen, and so the story is basically the beer was so bad in this town that they poured it out on the streets and said, we're not drinking it. And all the brewers got together, formed a co-op, and hired a German brewer to come in. And as they were going to do a top fermented beer and decided to do a bottom fermented beer. And during that process, they basically came up with the Pilsner style.
I had no idea that was the story. All I know is Pilsner Urquell, for being an import, is still pretty affordable if you did it at the store. So
I bought some when I got back.
I frequently have it. Yeah. I actually found Czechvar as well, which is my second favorite Czech imported Pilsner because it's there's only like 2 or 3 in the store anyway. It's not bad. If it wasn't so cheap, I wouldn't keep it in the fridge. But Pilsner Urquell is easily the best of Czech Pilsner that you can import. I will still say I'm beating a dead horse probably for people who have listened to this show for a long time. The best Pilsner though in the world is brewed in Blanco, Texas by Real Ale, and it's called Hans Pils. It's a German style and it's the best. I will put money on it. It's the best Pilsner in the world, domestic or foreign. I will hold tight to that.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's better than it's good.
I bought a keg of it the other for a get together a while back. It's good.
It's the best.
The best in the world?
Yeah,
really?
Dude. Oh yeah, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And this is my time now to say today's show is brought to you by Real Ale. No, I'm kidding. I am. Some people might notice I start sucking up to certain brands if I'm also emailing them for stuff or interviews. But no, we've talked highly of Real Ale for a very long time. Real Ale makes incredible beer. Pilsner Urquell makes great beer. Y'all then went to Prague, where did y'all do the castle this time? I know Todd is not a fan of doing repetitive things. Where I would love to do the St. George Bridge or whatever it's called again and go back into the castle.
No, the St. George Bridge, you got to go over that. It's so nice. It's just such a nice walk. And we went up in the tower. We didn't go to the castle. I've been there a couple times. Been there, done that. So.
That's what, it's funny because when you took James and I that first time, you said the same thing, and he is surprisingly fast for those little leads he has. Like it's
hard to keep up with.
So hard to keep up with you. And thank God you were there with me though, James, because we walked to the castle together at a reasonable pace where Todd's like, yeah, I've seen that. Looked at something else. Okay. Looked at something else. I was like,
yeah.
Golly.
I could walk over the St. George Bridge every day, though. It is just beautiful. Wow.
I did watch a video, though. Y'all have to give me a actual report since you were just there. This channel on YouTube is saying the scammers on the bridge have gotten astronomically bad, like the 3-card money scammers and fake jewelry scammers. Did y'all see any of that going on the bridge?
No, I didn't see any card or 3-card money. I saw there was 2 or 3 jewelry stands.
Okay.
And then they had like sketches, and then they had people playing music, and
yeah.
But it was so crowded. I mean, literally the whole bridge was packed.
I believe that. Was it the same when we all went in 2017, 18, whenever it was the first time? It was the time that they were celebrating their freedom from communism. Remember how freakishly uncomfortable that was because we're in the city square by accident. We didn't know it was going to happen. We were at that clock. Is it the same thing this year? Is that why it was crowded?
No, they had the Christmas market was in the square set up.
Oh yeah.
What did you say? They were celebrating what?
The fall of communism. You don't remember? They were.
I thought it was like a
signs.
Labor thing or something.
No, they were holding up anti-communist flags and people had flares. Remember, James? I mean, it got intense. Where and they were also their leader at the time, Todd. They were also protesting that person. But
So they had him with a picture of
Yeah,
Putin.
that's
what it
I
was.
remember.
That is, they had a picture of him with Putin that said like Putin's puppet or something at the time.
Yep. Mhm.
I don't know.
Yep.
Everyone's Putin's puppet. I'll know I've made it in the podcast space if I get accused of being Putin's puppet or anybody's puppet. Honestly, no one ever accuses me of anything except for Dragonfly Lady. She accuses me of not being funny, but I'm over that. My resolution for 2025 is to not bring up Dragonfly Lady a single time. I will fail on her.
Good luck with that.
I know I'll fail our first episode. I believe that's all the small talk I have. Let me go over here to the old computer because before we get to the questions,
Time for listener feedback.
Even though my soundboard's messing up a little, it is time for listener feedback.
Hey, this is Kyle from Virginia calling.
There we go.
I don't have a question, and it's really not feedback from a podcast. I just wanted to say thank you for all the kind words you guys said for the alt beer that I submitted. Ended up placing second, which was a humbling surprise to me. I really enjoyed that beer. My wife enjoyed that beer. My guests at our Oktoberfest party enjoyed it. But again, I've never been to Dusseldorf, and I don't know what alt beer actually tastes like. So it was very nice to hear people who have drank that kind of beer say nice things about it. Josh, you in particular, 2 contests in a row between the Kolsch and the alt beer, accused me of repackaging the beer. That is a heinous lie. I have not done that. And in order to do that, I would actually have to go to Dusseldorf and bring back a bottle, which I've never done. In both of those instances, it's just time, patience, and a little product from More Beer called ClearZyme. Helps clear chill haze, and everything else is just time. I brewed the alt beer on the 4th of July and just let it set and didn't tap it till mid-September. And then we kicked that keg, I swear to God honest, the day of Alt Pokal. So Friday, my wife went to go get a pour. We're about to sit down and watch it on YouTube, and there it goes. Anyway, I really appreciate everything you guys do. It's nice to have a contest not based on necessarily style guidelines. Those judges can be persnickety and a bit harsh, and I just like hearing from guys that say, I like this beer because, while also taking into consideration style. So thank you. Thank you again. Love the show. And it's no shame coming in second to a guy like Mr. Marut. Talk to you guys later. Thanks.
That's cool.
A few things. One, that sounds like something a cheater would say. Like, oh, I'd have to go to Dusseldorf. And yeah, I wouldn't put it past you, Kyle. But no, kidding aside, yeah, it was incredible how many good entries we got, and from people who've never had the style. How wild is that? I don't remember. I know he said he added stuff. And also a testament to how good time is for alt beer, right? Brew it in July and let it sit till October. That's brilliant. And that is a championship mindset, because the more time you give it, man, the better, in my opinion. It's the style that benefits from it. But I have to imagine from other people's feedback, Kyle didn't say he used our recipe. A lot of people have been using your recipe, James, and getting good results. Or like Jonathan Marut said, he used horse recipe, one of his recipes from the book. So there's something to be said about solid recipes producing solid results. And then that's a nice little infomercial way for me to promote the Trump Club at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. All right, back to programming. Todd, you have anything to add to that listener feedback before I get into the questions?
No.
Perfect. So Kyle, thank you so much for submitting that. A reminder, guys, if you call with feedback that I use on a future episode via voicemail to 325-305-6107, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card. Same thing goes when you leave a question. Like our first question, our buddy Andrew from Massachusetts.
Hey, Josh, James, and Todd. I've been listening to you guys for a while. Enjoy your content. You guys have great banter, so keep up the good work on that. I hear you guys mentioning quite often about stopping a beer before it finishes fermenting because you don't want it to dry out too much. I've never done this. I've always let my beers completely ferment or finish out. I had a question in regards to letting it or not letting it finish out. Have you guys ever noticed diacetyl in your beers or tasted any off flavors that might come up because you haven't let the beer finish cleaning up any off flavors in the fermentation process. I've heard you guys mention a couple times that you've stopped it prematurely, but just curious your thoughts and if you've ever tasted any off flavors. Keep up the good work. Good things about Josh. I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. I have to be really on the keyboard to make sure it stops. I saw you giggle, Todd. Is it because of the way that Google transcribed that second line or third line?
Yeah.
He's saying we have good banter, but Google thinks everyone is like me with the speech impediment. It said, enjoy your content. You guys have great dancers. So
yes, I was laughing.
It's a much better interpretation of the question. But you guys, more than me, basically because I'm lazy, you guys are no strangers to stopping fermentation. I'm going to, I'll throw it to you first, Todd, and then we'll get your opinion, James, because I know you do it all the time as well. But what's the idea behind stopping it? And have you had negative fallback from any time that you purposely stopped it?
I mean, I'm stopping it at where it needs to be. So, you know, if I want it to be at 10, I stop it there. And no, I mean, it's pretty much done, or it should be done. But you know, if it's real efficient, it can keep fermenting down lower than you want it. I mean, that's why you have a starting gravity and ending gravity in the recipe, is that you're trying to hit those two things. So I've never had any issues with off flavors. Now, when you're talking about doing a lager, a lot of times you'll bring the temperature up to get rid of those off flavors. So I'm sure James will go into that too, so I'll let him answer that.
Yes. Well, yeah. I pressure ferment, so that's a non-issue. Diacetyl gets ingested by the yeast just because it's doing its whole fermentation at room temperature under pressure. But before, when I was doing lagers, I would cool it down to 48, 50 degrees. I'd let it do its thing. I would monitor it until it's about 10, 20. And then I would let it go back up to room temperature so it could clean up whatever diacetyl is left in it. And then you cold crash it. But when I hit, like, let's say on an alt beer, I like to have it a little more body sweetness. So I like to stop it around 10:10, 10:12. So when I hit it there, of course, this is an ale yeast, so diacetyl is not an issue. I just hit the chiller and cold crash it, and it stops the fermentation. So off flavors, if you're doing a lager and you're doing it the traditional way, and you need to check with the yeast, because there's some yeasts that are more. A lot of the German strains are more prone to the diacetyl than the American lager strains. They'll tell you on the package if it's prone to more of that or less of that. But just remember, cold, it won't get consumed by the yeast. It has to be room temp. You have to warm it up. And as long as you have a little gravity left, you should be fine. Typically, most of the strains out now, they don't produce a whole lot of that. So it doesn't take a whole lot of gravity to get rid of it.
Yeah, I know I had asked you, James, when we did that lager with Chub Club, the Schwartz beer. And Todd, have you even tapped that Schwartz beer yet that I brought you?
Oh, you know what? You put it in the Keyser.
I did, correct.
So I just noticed it, but I didn't realize it's not carbonated at all. So I tried it last night, but it's not carbonated.
Very low carbonated. Yeah, I didn't add more to it, whatever was natural from the pressure. But how did it taste though? Because I feel like ours turned out great. Ours,
it was. I mean, it's hard to tell without carbonation, but I'm gonna carbonate it and I'll try. But it seemed fine. Yeah, I
bring it up not just to boast, but I bring it up because I consulted James about like, oh, dude, first off, I've never done a pressure lager because I have never done a lager. Do I do a diacetyl rest? And you assured me, no, brother, because it is doing it under pressure at the room temp. That you're already there. Like you can just
it's taking care of it.
It's taking care of it. Where I was so happy how it turned out. Would it have been maybe crispier doing it the traditional way? We'll never know. But it is absolutely satisfactory the way I did it at office temp, which was 73. And let it ferment for 10 days-ish or whatever before transferring, or 15 days to the keg, which if I were me personally, the way that I brew and ferment in the Fermzilla under pressure, me stopping a fermentation would mean me packaging to a keg or finding some way to drag that big old fermenter into a fridge or whatever that fits. Because like you said, Jim, I have to cool it down to stop the yeast from eating up any more sugar. But so with all that being said, how often are you guys doing readings? Because when we use Imperial, I feel like, James, if you're brewing on a Friday, is it not done 9 out of 10 times by the time you come back to the office on Monday?
Most of the time, we're lucky enough to get the yeast super fresh. And if you take advantage of that super fresh, there's a lot more viable cells. A lot of times, Monday, it's done. I'll let it go an extra day because a lot of the beers I'm brewing now are Pilsners, which I want down as low as it can get. And then I just cold crash it and let it condition. But yeah, we're really lucky to be able to have Imperial as a sponsor and then be able to use our yeast to brew as well. It's great.
Yeah, it's super great. And the last batch of yours, Todd, I can remember that you purposefully stopped was the Kolsch. I think it got down to 10.7 before you stopped it. In theory, if you hadn't stopped it, what do you think it could have gotten down to? And what would the results have been if you hadn't stopped it?
I don't know. I mean, it was still bubbling, maybe 4 or 5 or 6. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, I really don't know.
But you stopped it because that was dry enough. You stopped it because
that's pretty dry. I mean, that's really low. So
I'm just always interested because like I said, I haven't, maybe by luck or because of the circumstances of the temperatures of the office for the pressure or whatever, I've not this entire year. My dad and I have been doing Brew Day Live every month from January now through December. We've done at least 12 brew days this year, and not one batch have I stopped. I just let it roll. And all of them have basically ended up around where they were supposed to be. 10.10, sometimes 10.14, sometimes. Is that dumb luck, y'all think? Or is that because I've never felt like I had to stop it. I just I say had to. I wouldn't anyway because I'm not doing readings.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you're not doing readings. So.
Yeah.
How often are you doing readings during fermentation? Every day?
Whenever, I mean, like the reason I stop it is I take a reading and know what it is.
So I'm saying how often you're doing readings during active because there's a chance you might want to stop it because you've hit your numbers.
Yeah. When it starts to slow down, I start doing readings.
Slow down. Gotcha. Yeah. Obviously you're right. During high Krausen, you're not doing it during the real motorboat, right. But when it slows down, then you're like, let's see where it's at because I'm trying to hit whatever for the sake of the end result of the beer. That's the whole
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And same with you, right, James? When you stop it, it's just because this is where I wanted it to be because that's what I have perceived to be the best results for that style.
Yeah. Yeah. But I tend to take too many readings.
Do you really? Even during fermentation?
I'm telling everybody I'm doing.
Yeah. You've given me readings too. That's right. Yeah, the bright tank readings. Yeah.
Right. That's right.
That's funny and true because that's why it's funny. We talked about that on a not too long ago episode where I was like, what would be wrong with just serving straight? If you have a cooling system like a glycol chiller, why not just have that be your other? Oh, I don't have room in my kegerator. That's fine. Pour it right off of there because y'all's are always carbonated, or at least
that's what Wes did. If you remember at Teddy's Brew House, he had 6 bright tanks in the cooler, and he had draft lines run to every one of them. That's
brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. When I open Joshua's Brew House in the year 2040, I'll do it that way. I'll get Wes to be a consultant. Brew House, it's just to be alt and Kolsch, and my mom will make tacos. It'll be
there you go.
It'll be the taco.
That's all you need.
The taco house, but Haus for German. Gotta get both sides of my family represented. Guys, if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, or if you're listening, but if you're watching there, leave a comment below if you have some feedback or things we didn't cover for Andrew Stain, how to avoid some of those off flavors if you're stopping it. What are your methods of stopping it? Why do you care? Why don't you care? Any of that below. Leave it below, rather. And while you're here, why don't you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. All 8 of you who actually watch the episodes on YouTube, I need to do more content on our channel that's not long form. I forget we're not Rogan. No one's watching it here. But if you're listening and you want to get yourself some money and you have great feedback, call it into 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com when I use your voicemail on a future episode. If you email me at joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com or you text that hotline, you still get yourself a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty good. Like our second question, our buddy Drew emailed me and he wrote, "First, want to thank Josh for helping me get an order placed on Monday. I'm excited to use those Gov regulators in my teaser. Something we talked about on the phone was fermentation temperature control, and it got me thinking. Last winter, my area had a massive power loss during a snowstorm, lasted a few days, brutal. If I have a batch going in my fermenter when power is lost, could I turn it into a pressure fermentation? My understanding from you experts is that pressurized fermentations can handle temperature fluctuations better than traditional fermentations. Does that sound right? What would you do if you lost power right in the beginning of your fermentation? I love the podcast. Hope you all have a very Merry Christmas." Drew, I want to do a callback real quick. I have a newfound respect for you guys at the office. With y'all out of town and the phone ringing every other minute, and everyone's great. Everyone who calls in is wonderful. Drew was great to work with and all that. There are some people, though, who drag. And there are some people, too, who... the engineer types who are very, it's just y'all on the phone all day. I have a new respect for that because it was brutal for me too, as brutal as Drew's power loss. It was some interesting phone calls I had. But either way, got Drew set up. He took advantage of that sale that we have going on at Keg Connection on those Gov regs. It's up on the screen if you're watching. I have never considered having to turn a fermentation from one to another, James. Like, I've always been doing pressure. So if power went out, who cares? Some thoughts before I get your thoughts. If it's a snowstorm, your temperatures are probably fine, right? Like you're probably able to.
I pressure ferment, so temperature's not an issue. But if you don't, and it's in the winter, then yeah. But I guess it really depends on if he's doing a lager or an ale.
Good point. It would matter.
Just bring it in the house, or if it's in there already, it's already at room temp, which is I've always fermented at room temp unless it was a Coles.
Well, and if it's a lager,
Mm-hmm.
My garage. So this morning we had a snowstorm. We had a winter storm come through. It's so funny in Texas when we get to close to freeze. We got this whole warning issued out, like it's gonna freeze tonight. Ah! So my garage, when I came out this morning to get to my office, was only at 54. If you're doing a lager, that's perfect, right? Like that. Yeah. That would be great to throw the fermenter in there if your glycol setup failed on you or whatever, and it's only in the first couple days of fermentation. Or for a traditional lager, what can those go? A week of fermenting the traditional way? Sometimes depends on your strain.
It slows it way down the colder it gets. So it takes a little longer for a lager to ferment at lagering temperature, which is always lagered between 48 and 52 degrees. So it takes a little longer. It takes more numbers of yeast. But my guess is he's probably doing ale recipes. Yeah. And then it's at room tip anyway. Yeah.
And your house is not going to get probably not going to get below the lower threshold of an ale yeast. You would have bigger problems. I say that. What's the lower end on most of them? 60 on like your average Chico strain? Yeah.
Unless you're my dad and he would keep the house cold as a freaking fridge.
I knew
you didn't want to. Didn't want to pay the electric bill.
Thank you for censoring.
Not made of money.
Thank you for censoring yourself though, because I thought you were going to say that other. Well, what I always heard my dad. It's colder than a witch's. I self-censored as well. But let's say in this hypothetical, James, of power outage or any.
You mean like witch's tit in a brass brassiere?
Yeah, there you go.
There it is, folks. No, I don't have my board to beep, and I'm gonna have to do it after the fact. Also, I apologize to listeners at home. I don't have the board. I don't have the gong of questions. I know everyone's already
we could just leave it. We could just leave it in there.
We could leave it in there. You're right.
Yeah.
No, but think of the Dragonfly ladies. Think of them.
I think she quit listening a long time ago.
I don't know. I send her invitations every week. No, I'm kidding. I wish I had her email. I wish. Are you kidding? I'd have so much fun. But no, in this hypothetical, James, whatever the reason, could you easily turn your current fermentation into pressure? I think it's possible because in high crowds and it's building up so much, you put a spunding valve on that bad boy and you regulate it down to 10 or 12, whatever you want. And then boom, now you're good as it's ending fermentation. It's keeping all that pressure in the vessel. You're not losing it.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that.
Go for it.
The reason why is it's measured in pounds per square inch. So you've got to, everybody out there listening, make sure to check with a manufacturer that can handle those kind of pressures. I know you're only talking about 10 to 15 PSI. I think ours are rated, the spike ones are rated up to 15. I think that's when they pop. But if you try to pressure ferment in a vessel that can't handle those kind of pressures, you're going to have a potential beer bomb that could go off. So just make sure that it can handle those pressures. And if it can, yeah.
Homebrew Happy Hour legal team is in my ear and they say thank you, James, because I did not even, you're right. I make assumptions way too frequently, friends, that, he has a vessel that can handle it. But James and I had a guy, he's in the Trub Club, I think still, he might not be. Super nice guy. I won't name drop him to embarrass him. He wanted to ferment in one of those Spike, or not Spike, the SS,
the BrewTech,
whatever they're called, but they're buckets.
With the bell wire
brew bucket. Is it called a brew bucket? Yeah. And it's just, you're right. It's just the wire. And he was like,
clamps.
I'm going to turn this into a pressure fermenter. How can I do that? And I forwarded you the email like, James, I don't think you can, right? Go tell him don't. Like, we're not liable for the explosion that you are going to cause. So yes, Drew, that's a very good point that James makes. Make sure the vessel you're using can even handle pressure, because it's like, my glass carboy, I want to turn it into, I think I made that assumption only because, temperature control can be done easily without glycol. Another assumption I made. I mean, y'all, we who amongst us, the three of us, hasn't fermented in a closet for the longest time before getting nice
I did
again.
that forever in a water bath with ice packs in the summer.
Exactly.
It worked great.
Yeah, it works great, and that is what a lot of people do, so I shouldn't make assumptions. He's talking about power going out in his glycol chiller. I should have gotten more information on this. But Todd, you sometimes lose power. Do you ever worry about your fermentation? What would you do if you lost power?
I didn't really understand the situation when from the original question, like, if he lost power in the summer in Texas, that'd be a huge concern because it's going to be 100 degrees in your house. But if he loses it in the winter, is he worried about it getting too cold or too hot? I don't really know.
Take both angles. What would happen if it got too cold? It would just would that suspend fermentation and you could never come back from it? Or
was he brewing? We don't know if he was brewing an ale or a lager.
No idea.
I would just, if it was going to get too cold, I would just, I don't know what his situation is. If I lose heat, I've got a fireplace and I've got,
blankets.
If he lost heat and there's no way to heat it and it got too cold, would it come back?
Yeah, I think it would. Yeah,
I think it would. Yeah.
I think the other direction it would create off flavors. But if it's, if he's maintaining temperature and it gets cold and gets colder, all it has to do is just warm it back up to that temperature and it should kick right back off again because it'll just go dormant.
You would think. That's what I would assume as well. But this episode, I've made too many assumptions, so I'll shut up.
As long as it didn't freeze.
As long as it didn't freeze. Yes, totally. But again, if it's in his home and it's cold enough to freeze the beer that it is now being, or the wort turning into beer, you got a lot bigger problems in your home. Like that would be like you better watch out.
You're not worried about the beer, right?
You're not worried about the beer at that point. Todd, what were you looking up?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw the reflection off your glasses. I thought you were looking up an answer for what you were about to say. Yeah, I guess a definitive, to get something definitive, we'd have to know more things like what were you brewing? What were you worried about? But that he has the better of the bad case scenarios. I'd rather my fermentation lose power, or my home lose power during fermentation from cold than from heat. Because like James said, from heat, oh God, I'm emptying out the freezer, all my cooler packs and trying to keep that thing at low. And that's much more stressful than, okay, it might delay my thing. Or, hey, if my fermentation's wrapping up and I lose power, I'm going to put it outside in the cold. I'm going to cold condition literally with nature. It's like the best. It's a win-win. And if you lose power because it's a catastrophic storm, you're going to have beer pretty soon. Not too bad. Not too bad,
Yep.
Drew. If you're listening or watching at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour, we love what you think about this question, even though maybe we need a little bit more of the info, the context to completely answer it. I'd love to know what you do if you brew in areas with severe weather, like we do. But I haven't had a power loss during a brew day. I'm trying to think. I did lose power while y'all were out of town at the ranch, but you don't have anything fermenting. I did think about your fridge, Todd, but all your fridges. I was worried about the food I brought, but I was really worried about the beer. I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just don't open it. And your Liz's brother, his grandkids were there. And one of his grandkids kept opening the fridge door. And I was like, don't open the door. We don't have power. What are you doing? It didn't make it super awkward, like yelling at a kid, but I was like, you don't open a fridge door right now. We got to wait for power. It just took a while. But anyways, Drew, thank you so much. Thank you so much for submitting that question. A reminder, guys, if you text our hotline or you email Joshua@Homebrew Happy Hour and I use your question, you get yourself a $15 gift card. And you're like, that's pretty good. I don't like hearing my voice, but we like hearing your voice. So when you call it in to 325-305-6107, leave us a voicemail. If I use that voicemail on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to Keg Connection. Like our third and final submission is our buddy Nick from Seattle.
Hey guys, this is Nick from Seattle. I recently was going to start using my pH meter again. I got off more beer. It's a Apera. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. But I haven't used it in a couple years, and it usually sits in like a solution, like a cap. I noticed that completely has dried up since I haven't used it in so long. I'm wondering if it's even salvageable, what I'm supposed to do to kind of like bring it back to zero. Is there a solution I need to buy or make, or do I put it in water? I don't really know if I can still use it or not. So if you guys have any tips, that would be great. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I know we don't I don't use an electronic pH meter. I took the question because it's one we've never taken. And then I realized when Todd told me he didn't get my email until we were starting to record. I was like, crap, I hope James knows what he's talking about, or at least can guide us.
Yeah,
the right
they
way.
make it's called a buffer solution, and they have different levels. And you can get it on Amazon. Every now and then on the electronic ones, you have to calibrate, kind of like on our refractometers. With refractometer, you just use distilled water and adjust it to 0, I believe, or 1. I'll have to go back and go to the instructions. But anyway, on the electronic pH meters, which, we have those here, they, if you go to Amazon, it's called buffer solution, and you can go in there and get it, and they have different levels. And that it's good to have different levels of buffer solution, because then you want to check the full range of the pH meter. And I think he's fine. He just needs to get some solution and check it and recalibrate it. And I think it'll be just nothing wrong with that at all. Just make sure you clean it with distilled water. That sensor probe is real sensitive, so you don't want to clean it with like well water or anything that might have minerals in it. So we always want to keep some distilled water and just use that to clean the probe after you use it.
Do y'all think, I'll ask you first, James, do y'all think that, is this a tool that if you're going to buy it, invest in a decent one? Because a quick Amazon search on my other computer, they start as low as like $9, and then they go as high as like 150.
Hey, as long as they're reading right, there's no reason not to buy a cheap one.
Right? That's what, I mean, the cheap state in me says that, but then, and I say that to someone like Todd, who, granted, he doesn't use it anymore, but he used an Easy Dens instead of a...
Oh, that thing is nice.
Of course it is, but it's also a lot more than a $10.
Of course, it's not nice when it's broke, but it's nice.
But you're talking about a pH meter.
No,
right?
I know. I know it's apples and grapefruit. It's not even. I know, but I just meant
we're just admiring your Easy Den electronic gravity meter.
Well, and I was trying to rub it in that you don't have it anymore. Were they at the Brow? Do they have a setup? Did you go see? I forget.
I've hassled them enough. I've had my fun.
He's had his fun.
Well, but
let him have his fun.
I actually never even considered using a pH meter because James at one point gave me a gazillion pH strips.
Yeah.
And those
are way easier. You just check it and throw them away.
Right. I was just saying, and they're very easy to read. I assume they're calibrated. What's going on, boss? Am I too loud?
Oh no,
Your back.
I just stepped on my foot wrong. Yep.
I forget getting old. Yeah, you're deteriorating. He's deteriorating right before our eyes.
Right before your eyes, I'm breaking down. She's breaking up, Captain.
Dude, I don't have the
can't hold it together much longer.
Hey, real quick, a free plug for them. Check out that peptide for the link I sent you like 2 weeks ago. It's really helped me. Talk to your doctor about it. BBC 157. It's really helped my neck. That's the guys I train with. I'm all spry now. I'm like doing stuff and.
My buddies last night said I need to lose weight. That's a problem.
They sound. They
Just
sound.
get bad advice from every direction.
They sound judgmental. They're probably telling you to quit drinking too. Not like you're. Not like.
Have you met my buddies? Do you think they're going to go there?
No. It reminds me though. Was it your doctor who tells you look great because y'all are the same shape? Like
Yeah, that's a great shape. It's the same shape as mine.
Same shape as, yeah, I like how I remember hearing stories of doctors from the olden times where they come in with the cigarette, telling you about your health or whatever as they're smoking.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to find a doctor that smokes. But anyways, wrapping up Nick's question, James, do you have links that you could send me so I can put in the show notes for that buffer?
Yeah, I can send you something.
Could you? Okay.
But all you have to do is just link or just go into Amazon and just put in the search bar buffer solution and it'll go right to it.
Perfect. Okay. And like you said, though, having varying levels of it is good for true calibration or for best practices.
That's right.
Perfect. Yeah. And then, but also too, Nick, I don't know how much you spent on that thing. If all else fails, the strips have been working great for me. They are dirt cheap. Like I said, James though gave me a ton of them. When I say dirt cheap, I mean they were free. But I can't imagine I can't imagine you spent a lot on them either though, because it was
Todd gave them to me.
Oh, yes, it comes full circle. Todd,
that's right.
Todd spent a fortune. No, pH strips are dirt cheap. I have priced them on Amazon before. Another thing I forgot to bring from the office, Todd was nice enough to give my wife that commercial coffee maker for the teacher's lounge, and I forgot all those filters. So I went on Amazon. You're right, James. You can't buy them less than $500, and it was like
they're expensive.
But you say that at the end of the day, I spent $7 for 500. It's more than I'd want to for 500 paper filters.
Oh, I don't remember ever paying anything under 20.
Oh,
so you got a heck of a good deal.
Yeah, it was Amazon Basics. It said it fit that VPR series. Yeah. It was $7 on Prime or $6.99. It was during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. I don't know if I was a benefactor of that, but Amazon Basics, I'm part of the problem, everybody. I shop on Amazon way too much, and I use their cheap brand, the Amazon Basics, for everything. Nicotine gum, coffee filters. When businesses crumble, y'all can point the finger at me. It's my fault. But anyways, Nick, thank you so much for submitting the question. And again, final reminder, friends, call in a voicemail to our hotline, 325-305-6107. I've gotten more. I'm building up a database, but we could always use more questions. So leave it there. I'll probably use it on a future episode, and you'll get yourself a gift card to ketconnection.com. Gentlemen, that is all I have lined up for this week. I appreciate y'all's time, and I'll actually see y'all Monday. It's the first time in a month I've seen y'all in the flesh, because I've only been up there while y'all are gone. So I'll see y'all soon, and have a good weekend.
See ya.
All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. You could email Joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, or even better, you could get yourself a $25 gift card when you call it into 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntons Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntons, give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.